we've got a lot of expansion things going on this year in all different areas of this business that are going to be really cool for curly-haired people, that's for sure.
And
and more work for us.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. That runs into my other, kind of ties in with my other fun fact that I was going to share, because I stopped at one of our local supply houses, which is for, professional stylist supplies, and which is a huge company, like Salon Centric. Okay.
Don't name them.
Oh, don't name them?
No, you can.
Oh, okay.
Salon Centric.
Yeah. Well, I am going to name it.
Sounds like Salon. I'm not going to name them, but sounds like Salon Centric.
Yes, sounds a lot like Salon Centric. So, and guess what? When I was checking out, they were asking, in order to get a bag to carry my things, I had to pay extra money. So now you have to purchase your bag. I'm like, are you kidding me? That I don't want to hear anybody complaining about our prices or whatever. Because I'm
Let's
just
start charging for this show.
I know.
We're going to charge you exactly what it's worth,
Like,
which is what you pay now.
Now we're going to charge for packaging. Now we're going to charge for the boxes. Now, I mean, really, and that's like a huge company, and they want you to pay to have a bag to carry your things out. I just thought, wow, this is crazy. So, yeah.
Telling you.
Yeah.
So this show's a
And
bargain.
ours is 2 people, self-funded. Wow. You know.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
Surprised we got this far.
be nice.
Be nice to us. Yeah. Damn it. All right. Boy. Okay. Let's get started. Hey. Oh, before I forget, Helen, would you make sure and go and check all the platforms that we're supposed to be streaming on and make sure that we're streaming on them, please? It's awful quiet over there.
Yeah. Okay. So
Still looks live. Anyway, all right. So, Melanie, do you have a fun fact for us tonight?
I just shared one. I shared 2. Where have you
Two?
been?
Well, I'm looking at what this on the counter here, so I thought, do you have a different?
We'll talk
because
about
those
that.
other facts weren't really fun. They charge you for a bag. They ain't fun.
Well, it was fun to learn that, our company
Right.
is. Yeah,
Right.
I already shared.
Yeah, we run this whole train wreck by ourselves.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we're
it's
doing
not
a
fun.
pretty good
Doing a
job.
hell of a job. I agree. All right. Okay. Well, let me introduce. We have a guest tonight.
Yay.
And as I mentioned at the end of 2019, that we had quite a few guests lined up for 2020. And it's a little bit tricky. It is a little bit tricky with the technology. And it's because we don't just broadcast on one platform. We broadcast in multiple platforms, and that's why it becomes a little bit tricky to to make it all work.
It's tricky
But just
to rock
it's
around
it
the
is it's tricky. It is. So bear with us. Like I said, we will clearly get better and better and better as we gotta. If you guys had any idea how much money we've got tied up in just this podcast and video thing, yeesh. But it's I think it's pretty good for what we've done so far, but it is going to be better, coming up in 2020. But like I said, we have a number of guests lined up. We're going to be bringing on more guests and from different aspects of the curl world, anywhere from stylists to salon owners to product manufacturers, brand owners, and artistic directors, all kinds of stuff, innovators. And probably even some influencers and bloggers and vlogger type people who I've spoke with. So, all right, let's. I'm going to introduce our guest for tonight. I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I'm going to let her talk. And we're going to do Q&A. Got lots of Q&A. So I would like to introduce Erin Schmucker. She owns the Curve Hair Studio in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada. It's about an hour south of Toronto. She founded it in 2013 with another curl stylist, and because they saw a need for curly clients that needed curl stylists. Since then, they have grown the salon to 7 stylists, all of whom have curly training. Erin is a level 3 Deva Curl master stylist and a Raw Curls Academy trained curl specialist.
Woohoo! Yes, one
there
of
you
my
go.
former
Yeah.
students.
Yes, one of Melanie's former students. She's also going to be doing the Rezo system as well, and the Cut a Kinky in 2020. So she's been a licensed stylist for 20 years, but a curl specialist for 8 years. She also loves to do color of all types, specifically hand painting highlights to enhance the shape of curls. So you guys won't be able to see her live, but you should see a picture of her, but you'll be able to hear her, and we'll go over the questions. So welcome. Erin, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you.
Hey, Erin.
Great. Great. How are you? Thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
You're very, very welcome. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, other than what I gave you in the intro. So tell us about your life up there in Ontario, and how you ended up in this industry, and just tell us a little bit more about yourself, your family, anything you want to tell us. Don't tell us what you don't want to.
Okay. Well, like many people, as a teenager, hairstyling was my hobby, but I didn't think that I could make a career of it. Fortunately, a bunch of people crossed my path at the right time and, said, well, try it out. You're young. Of course you can make a career out of it. And it just sort of snowballed from there. In the province of Ontario, we have apprenticeships. So you go to school and then you apprentice. So you learn from already established stylists. And so I went to school, and I've loved hair color from the very beginning. At one point, I actually thought I would just do color, but I didn't trust anyone to cut my color, so I needed to develop cutting skills as well. So I was in the industry for about 12 years before I even learned that there was something other than, the curly, wet haircut. And that was kind of my light bulb moment. I took my first class in 2012, my first curl specialist class in 2012 with Deva curl. And I went, okay, this makes sense. Like, let's cut curls as we see them, and just started doing it. And of course, it makes such a huge difference. And, you get that feedback where it's truly life changing. Like, the changes that you're able to make in people's lives, and just the relationship that they have with their hair and how they feel about their hair, it's huge. My whole household actually has curly hair.
Oh my.
I don't know if you and Melanie remember, but my partner ended up being my model.
Yes,
when
it was awesome.
For class in October.
I do remember.
He was so fun.
He bailed our butts out.
Yeah, he played the part well.
He played the part well.
He did. So yeah, my son has long wavy hair, and then my stepchildren have curly hair. One thanks to a perm, because perms for the teenage boy crowd are coming.
Who would do that?
Really? Did you know? Like, have you been doing
that.
a lot of that? We've been
Yes,
doing
I
a lot
did.
of
Cheater.
I did that.
This is a curl wannabe.
It was hot. I'm telling you, I rocked it.
Oh gosh.
It was to my shoulders.
Someday we will find a picture.
I think these might be
Don't
updated.
you guys dare.
The curly looks now are more updated, but yeah. In Canada it's cold right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes with its own host of challenges. Winter here is very, very hard on hair and skin. So we do a lot of coaching in the salon this time of year about, keeping the water temperatures down and, adding additional conditioners, that sort of thing, maybe tweaking the product routine a little bit. Ontario is more moderate. Let's see if I can translate into Fahrenheit. It would be about 25 degrees right now.
Okay. That's like about what it is in this room.
Warm-ish.
Right.
But that's
for
warm.
this time of year.
Yeah.
It's actually warmish for this time of year. Other provinces definitely get colder, get way more snow than we do. But yeah, we have this strange thing called wind chill factor, where it can feel, it can be one temperature, but with the wind chill can feel 10 or 15 degrees colder.
Yeah. We're from Wisconsin. We know all about the wind chill.
Perfect. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All too well.
Surrounded by 2 Great Lakes. You bet. You know all about that. So tell us, in the area that you have 7 stylists at your salon, all curl trained. Are there a lot of curly hair salons up in that area, or are you pretty much the unicorn?
There are a few. A lot of them are, say, single stylists that have, for instance, taken the Deva Curl Level 1 training, because that's the only thing that's available in Ontario. So we spend a lot of time and money to travel.
I remember you saying that.
Right? To educate ourselves, which is fine. But yeah, so I think what makes us different is there is so many of us. And part of that's just how the salon's set up. So remember how I mentioned in Ontario you have to apprentice?
Yeah.
I actually only hire apprentices. So we provide the curl training, get them kind of set up on our, who we are as a brand, what our culture is like, our philosophies and our approaches to curly hair, and then just sort of really, then they build and grow from there.
How long do they have to apprentice?
There's an hour requirement, so full-time it takes about a year and a half.
Wow.
And that's in addition to the schooling time. Now, the apprenticeship is paid.
Oh, okay.
Minimum wage in Ontario is just over $14 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So it's a lot. But yeah, so yeah, there are other salons around here. Because there's 7 of us, though, like obviously the whole salon supports our methods. There's not an owner going, why does that take that long? Hurry it up. Why are you using that many towels? Why are you using that much product? That sort of thing. So obviously there's a wholehearted support. And then as people are coming in, there's just built-in mentorship for them to learn and grow.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now, do you do regular hair as well, or just only the curly?
No, we do straight hair as well. The curly thing definitely has been the fastest growing because everybody who has curly hair, there's a coworker, a friend, a family member that also has curly hair. And those first time before and afters are just so dramatic that they, they send a selfie to their sister or they go into work the next day and people are like, oh my goodness, what did you do?
Yes.
So we currently probably, I would say about 80 to 85% of what we do is curly hair. We happily tell our straight haired guests, though, that we're not going to discriminate against them because they were born with the wrong hair type.
Right. Right. Wow.
So gracious of you.
Isn't it though? We're kind.
I agree. All right. Well, how about we get into some viewer and listener questions?
Sure.
Perfect.
Oh, I got some good ones for you. These are always fun. And that's kind of, obviously, if you've watched the show before, that's kind of the rule around here is we don't, Melanie doesn't get previewed on questions, and we don't let our guests do it either. So we don't throw any gotcha questions at you, but we send you everything direct from listeners and viewers. I would say, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I don't do it before the show, but I'll do it during the show. Is I'll show Melanie a question and say, "Can I ask you this?" Just to be sure.
Like if it's a little. Recently.
I just did that recently, and I'm like,
I don't even know why, but
well, it's like if it's somebody I don't want to offend, or it's if it comes off kind of wrong, it's because you know what happens that if I do that, then they're going to be like, Ken did this, and it's like I just read the thing, it's like, but anyway, but I got none of that for you tonight. I don't think. So, all right, let's get started. The first one's a fun one. This is from Taylor Routley, and the reason I'm telling you who it's from is you'll find out in a minute. Okay. Erin, your raw curls trained? I'm literally 40 miles away. My question is, Erin, when is your earliest available Saturday morning appointment?
So Taylor did reach out to us.
Okay, good.
Our Facebook page.
Oh, good.
And the answer that I gave her was March 21st.
March 21st.
March 21st was the first available Saturday.
And so the first
Taylor's
day of spring.
Continue to go see her Deva stylist because she really, really needs a haircut this weekend. And then I actually get to work with Taylor at the end of May. She did book in for the end of May.
Well, there you go. So we made you some money. See, coming on the show is profitable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, well, that's great. Okay, let's go to the next one. Erin. Oh, boy. Okay, this one is, I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to go out and talk to Lionel and Helen for a minute, because I'm sure you guys could probably talk about this. So, all right. Are you ready? Erin, how do you know if your hair needs protein or moisture? Good luck.
So most girls actually need both. They need a good balance of both. I see, of course, I'm in a lot of these curly hair groups, and I find so many people get caught up in, loading their hair with all the protein and eliminating all the moisture, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And that's a real slippery slope, because it just needs to be balanced. Most really good products have a combination of both. So if you pick just a few really good quality products that are already balanced, use them on your hair. Don't rush it. Like, you need to be patient. It takes a little bit of time to balance it out. Your hair will adjust itself. So for most people, they go, okay, well, my hair's feeling a bit brittle. It needs more moisture. The brittleness could be from previous heat styling. It could be from previous highlighting. And so they might need moisture, but they also might need protein for strength. So, all in moderation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I always talk about that as well. It's a combination. The hair is made of protein and moisture, so you can't just have one or the other. You have to have a balance of both. And like you just said, the protein is strengthening and the moisturizing is moisturizing and softening. So there's a difference, but even when you do protein treatments, then you follow up with moisturizing as well. So, but people, there's this information that goes around where people are absolutely opposed to using any protein on their hair. They claim that they're protein sensitive, they can't have any protein. And, time and time again, all of us professionals, discuss the same thing, because, we don't see that. And you definitely, there's a time and place where you need protein and strengthening in the hair. So
It's literally every interview that we do of a stylist or somebody with behind the chair experience on this show, that question gets asked.
And we've never had a different answer.
Right, and that you know what? Right, and that's
because the professionals know.
Right, Melanie and
it's the people that aren't the professionals,
yes.
Spreading this information that's incorrect.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little behind the scenes kind of thing. Every single time we've done a show, that question comes up, it gets answered, and then after the show, when we have the ability to, after the show and we shut off, we stay on for a few minutes afterwards with whoever the guest was. And we talk about that every time. Every single guest we've ever had has said the exact same thing. Everybody. And we're talking everybody from Weed Ad herself to Sherry Harbinger herself. I mean, not 1 year stylists. And it's the same answer all the time. But what'll happen is that the people that ask will always say, well, I saw this YouTuber say this, or I saw this, or I saw this in a group, whatever. And it's like, who are you listening to?
That's kind of how the show got started, because of all the misinformation from unprofessional people.
Yeah. I'm not ripping on them. I'm just saying it's where the information comes from, and then when a pro tells you the answer, a lot of people don't want to hear it. It's really odd. It's really odd. So, all right, let's go to the next question. Oh, here's another good one. You got some good ones tonight, Erin, so this is good. See, we got Lionel, you got to fix this so we could, because I'd love to see the look on her face and the eye rolls as I ask her these questions.
Oh gosh.
All right, Erin, it'd be great. It's great. It's great television. Erin.
She looks so pretty in her picture. She's got pretty, beautiful eyes.
Right, but they're not rolling like I'm sure they are in real life. Erin, what did you learn at the Diva Curl Level 3 training that you didn't learn in Diva Curl Level 2 training? I've asked this question several times in different Facebook groups, and no one has answered me. So I know what's happening is that they're looking for a, like a Diva Curls trained stylist or whatever, and they're seeing level 3s and level 2s, and they're probably seeing a difference in price, I'll bet, and nobody's telling them what the difference is. So what is it?
So up until recently, my salon had 2 level 1s, 2 level 2s, and 2 level 3s. And now we have 2 level 1s and 4 level 3s. And so we actually answered this question a lot because it took a really long time to get in with the level 3s. So we were actually encouraging people to see who at the time were our level 2s. Level 3 is a test. Level 3 is a 2-day test.
So it's not really a training. It's
not
an
a
exam.
training. Day 1 is review. So because of the expense of traveling from Canada, between my level 2 and my level 3, I think was 2 to 3 years. So in that time, a couple of things had changed. So that day 1 of review was like, oh, let's quick learn this. Not that they were huge changes, but they were little ones. But level 3 is a test. So day 1 is review, and then day 2 is both a written and a practical exam where they analyze everything from, your hand position to, where your body is relative to your guest that you're working on. In this case, you're working on a mannequin head, just so that everybody's working on all the same curls. So it's an assessment. Now, not all curl specialists, as we know, are created equal. So we said all the time that before my 2 colleagues, Claudia and Chandra, who just took their level 3, we said all the time that the quality of their work was the same as myself and Laura, because they've been working there for 5 years. They can do everything that I can do. They just were waiting to, spend a whole bunch of money to take a test. But some people weren't convinced, and they still wanted to go see, wait and see a level 3, which is fine. So I can't definitively say that, a level 2 everywhere is going to be the same as like a level 2 in our type of environment. It's easy to develop bad habits if you don't have others around you who are as focused as you are to, really encourage you and support you and keep you on track. But yeah, level 3 is a test.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you explained that really well, because I actually am only a level 2 stylist.
Because she's a cheapskate.
Because I'm not spending the money to go and take the test.
Told you.
See, yeah. I mean, there just really was no reason for me to do it. They changed that right after I finished. Before, the level 2 was the highest, and that was, the advanced trained diva stylist. And then it was like right after that, then they made the changes and they did this new certification. And yes, it's a test. So I'm like, well, I'm not just going to turn around now and go and take another.
Yeah, you had rolled
test.
into like the first or something of the art of texture class,
yeah.
And then like a week afterwards, they announced it like, "What the hell? I was just there."
Yeah, no,
So
and it wasn't cheap.
The level 3 is just a reassurance. Like so many curly girls have, as we know, all this trauma from previous bad hair experiences. So the level 3, that certification, that having taken a test and basically having Diva Curl almost rubber stamp you in effect, because the other levels do not involve testing; it's just learning. So I think it provides them with peace of mind. Yeah,
we've talked about this at length on the show about why Diva Curl instituted the certification. We get it. As being on the inside, you've been around long enough. We've been around long enough. We know why it happened.
For sure.
And we know why it happened. We'll just leave it at that. Anyway, okay, all right. Let's go on. Let's go into another loaded question.
Well, you should add on to that question and say, I'm surprised nobody asked this because they're talking about the difference with the level 2 and 3 Deva. But why don't you talk about a little bit of the difference of what you learned coming to my class compared to the Deva?
Yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah. So in my class, I was one of 6 people, so a really nice small class size. And I will say your dry haircut is obviously very similar to a Deva haircut from the approach of it, as far as, the foundation of cutting the shape when it's dry, so that you can see where things live and see where things sit. But the wet curl sculpting, I've used it multiple times. I don't use it on everybody, obviously.
Because you were really hesitant about it.
I was, but I was very open in my skepticism.
Which
but
was
yeah,
important.
so no, it's been good. I've used it for multiple different reasons, to compress the shape and condense some of the bulk. I've used it to add volume. I've used it to help boost up, I call them lazy curls. So sometimes in the canopy, the top part of the hair, it doesn't want to be as curly. So I've been able to use curl sculpting to, kind of enhance that a little bit. And then really the wet haircut part, where you just kind of double check your dry haircut. And so, I love that I can do that. It was probably, I would say, the best value, the best bang for my buck, considering the Canadian exchange rate sits between 30 and 35% right now.
Ouch.
Yeah.
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 You get to learn a lot for a little money.
Well, that's great.
Yeah,
Yay.
for sure. And it really is like, I obviously came in with previous curly training. I do remember other people in the class that didn't have previous curly training. And so it really is a set of skills that you can take back and work with all curl types and all hair textures, and just to have a really good comprehensive approach to cutting curly hair.
Excellent. That's awesome. That's exactly what I want for my students, because it's true. You can, I see other systems that seem to just do the same haircut over and over. So this works with any kind of style, any kind of curly hair. And, if people choose to straighten their hair, it works, so there's different reasons, and you learn when to do what. And you're right, for the advanced curly stylist, for, that just has one type of training, which is usually the case, or for beginners, it just is really something that I think, people can utilize on a daily basis, which is awesome, because we've all gone to those classes where we're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this.
Yeah.
So that's great.
As soon as you release fall dates, I'm sure you'll be seeing some of my colleagues.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We probably plan at least 6 months in advance, so just giving you a heads up.
Okay, cool.
Well, wait till you see.
I'm
We have
excited.
surprises. We have surprises.
Okay, I know
we have
you keep
surprises.
hinting.
He
No,
always
I'm
does
dying to do it. But
You're killing us over here.
Oh, just wait. I've heard. I've been told. It's gonna be really cool. Anyway, okay, let's go on to the next thing. We're just loaded with. I should have reviewed these beforehand. All right, Erin. Erin, what are your thoughts on coloring curly hair with henna? Is there any significant benefit from having it done in the salon rather than me just doing it at home?
Oh, God.
Well, I don't know if it's different in the United States, but most of the stuff that's around here that's labeled as henna is not henna.
Really? Tell us more.
So true henna is just a vegetable dye. Most of the ones that are available out there, depending on where you're sourcing them from, are not henna.
Are they synthetic? Is that what it is?
It's, what have I seen? Or even ones that are alternative hair colors. Like, I think that one brand that's available around here. Am I allowed to name brands?
Yes, you are.
Sure.
Okay. Biggin. the pigments are the same as the ones in printer ink.
Oh, wow.
So then when you go to, if you ever tried to go get that back off the hair, you can't. Some of the hennas, of course, have metallic salts in them, which then are going to react with so many other things.
Everything.
Everything. So it's just...
Maybe
it's
they're
just
made
not
with Kool-Aid.
Like, does printer ink sound healthier for your hair than a salon color?
Not to
because
me.
it does not sound healthier.
I'll bet
to
you it
my
lasts really long, though.
Oh yeah, it really lasts very long. The instructions say, like, do not overlap on any pre-existing color in the hair. Yeah.
But printer ink is only black, and it's, or the blue, magenta, or yellow.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I think what it comes down to is finding a really responsible colorist. So if the person's concern, you know, as opposed to budget, is the health of their hair, you know, you find a colorist that, you know, if you want a color transformation, is going to take things low and slow, or knows, you know, about the great alternative tools that are available out there. Like, I am transitioning a guest from, you know, coloring her hair to not coloring her hair anymore. And today we worked on starting that. So we used a Malibu C product that's not available to the public, and not that it's harmful, but, you know, you just don't have the things to do it yourself.
The skill level.
Yeah, to take out some of her pre-existing color. And then I was able to go in and using Olaplex in my formula, highlight some of that out. And her curls looked the same before we did this as well as after, because it wasn't about getting her there the fastest way I possibly could. It was about really maintaining curl integrity. So if you find a stylist that has all these different tools at their disposal and really has educated themselves on color, they're going to be able to get you to your color goals and still maintain the health of your hair.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's something that people misunderstand, because there's so much, hair extension, you know, things that they don't know. Like, they see models or movie stars, you know, changing their hair back and forth, and, you know, they don't understand that that's like wigs or, you know, hair extensions. You know, there's a process. Like, you can't just go from black to white blonde in one step. You know, it takes time. Sometimes it takes multiple appointments.
Sure,
you know,
but people think because because they see Susie movie star this week, and in next week's magazine they see her with, so they think it just happened.
They have unrealistic expectations, and some people, you know, you can explain that to, and then they get it, but some people don't. They just really think you should be able to do it in one fell swoop, and you can't. You know, and keep the integrity of the hair. You know, we all have had those clients where they're like, I want to go, they have like really dark brown or black hair, and they want to go really light blonde and no damage. And you're just like, yeah, it's not possible. I mean, you know, you have to be realistic. So.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a fun question. Erin, what have you seen change in the 8 years or so that you've been doing curly hair? Anything? Or have things stayed pretty much the same?
I would say more and more people know that there is such a thing as a curl specialist.
Yeah.
So they know to seek out somebody who has that specialized training. We're seeing more and more products become available in Canada. We obviously don't have nearly the same amount of products for curly hair, professional or otherwise. So starting to see more and more of them be available on this side of the border, which is great.
It's hard. It's really
but yeah,
hard.
I would say really just consumer education and consumer knowledge, and, you know, doing their research and knowing that there is such a thing as somebody who has that specialty curly training has really accelerated, I would say, in the last 5 years, for sure.
Yeah.
Here too.
Yeah. Same thing.
But there's still so many people that are like, I didn't know there was such a thing. You know, they are still discovering it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
So it's going in the right direction, I think. So. All right. Okay. All right. I've got a Deva curl.
Let me add to that, because that being said, you have to be careful, because now you also get the imposters where, there's all these hairstylists jumping on the bandwagon, say that they're a curly hair specialist, and they're not. They're self-proclaimed. They don't have the training from Deva or WeDad or Raw Curls or Curlisto, the top training facilities. There's a few more, Rizzo, there's a few, but, they just watch a YouTube video, or I don't know, I'm not sure where they, get their so-called training from, but it's not truly the specialty curly cutting systems. So, I've seen a lot of that going on, and unfortunately, then clients have a bad experience, and then they're like, oh, I already had a curly cut and it didn't work out. So anyway, I try to, hope that people ask more questions.
Yeah.
For sure, to really research the person that they're going to. Most stylists, and I'm assuming you do this as well, offer a service that's just a consultation.
Yes.
And you can book time, go in, research them ahead of time, but then ask those questions about their training, about their approaches, when and where they got their training. Going to a hair show and doing a Deva curl look and learn does not make you a curl specialist.
It doesn't?
Exactly.
No.
Thank you.
Product Pro online course does not make you a curl specialist.
No, you're kidding. Really?
Exactly.
I've heard some crazy things.
Oh, yeah. I had a stylist who tell me, they think you can just watch YouTube videos and learn stuff. And you can to a certain point, but it's like, it's totally different when you go to work on a real person,
Like,
then,
like when you come to
even at
our
the class,
academy where it's really small, you got Melanie holding your hand through the whole thing if you need it.
And it's
There's
so
a big
different going from
difference.
a mannequin to working on a real person, let alone just watching a video. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say people, obviously research the stylist online. They should have lots of examples of their work. They should be able to walk you through the process that they use. And you can always just book a consultation. That way you meet with them in person and you can have that conversation and ask those questions.
Exactly.
Yeah. I found one interesting thing, and I did a video about this on our YouTube channel. One of the things that I found is if you book a consultation and the stylist isn't using the 4 or 5 curly girl buzzwords in any part of your consultation, run. That's a
rip off the cape and run.
Rip off the cape.
I did that at a dentist's office.
She did that at the dentist office one time.
Ooh, he was creepy. Oh yeah, I was like,
Couldn't
I'm
wait
out
to-
of here.
Couldn't wait to
I said, I
gas
have
her and get her unconscious.
Yeah, I'm like, I have an emergency. I gotta go.
Oh my God. All right. Let's here I've got a Deva Curl question for you. Hi, Erin. I am a very new user to Deva Curl. I've been using the No Poo shampoo and conditioner for a couple of months. I typically wash my hair in the mornings, put mousse in it, and go. But frizz is killing me. I need to switch over to a mousse. Is there a Deva Curl product for my mousse that you would recommend, or anything else? Any suggestions on what I should use? I appreciate you helping me with this mess.
I thought you said
so
she's using mousse.
Deva Curl technique is key. So I would be curious actually as to what conditioner she's using and how she's using it. Yeah, I don't think that the mousse is necessarily specifically the cause of her frizz. Deva Curl makes a mousse. It's called frizz-free foam. It's great on its own for certain hair textures, but really it's the technique with the conditioner and adding water and working it through that eliminates the frizz and gives good curl definition. Your stylers are really just there to hold that definition in place. So I don't know that switching, and I mean she didn't list what mousse she used.
No,
but
she didn't.
I don't know that just switching and like picking up the frizz-free foam is necessarily going to solve her problem, even though it is a good product and I do like it. I typically, if I'm going to use it just by itself, it's for finer hair types. Otherwise, I'll generally pair it with one of their other stylers.
Yeah, so to add to that, I always tell people that mousses have typically the least amount of hold when you're talking about styling product. Well, it would be creams and mousses, and then you get into the gels, which have a stronger hold factor. So if you're, having a problem controlling frizz or, keeping curl definition, then you definitely want to get into using some of the gels that have a stronger hold and they have a longer lasting effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. I've got another good question. I've got some good ones. I mean, I that's one of the things that we tend to, when we do the show every week, when it's just us taking questions, we get a lot of the same repetitive questions, because what happens in all our groups and pages and whatever we have on social media and YouTube, it's just, and this is a great thing. New curly girls, keep coming into the mix. So a lot of the questions, become repetitive, because we're teaching new people every week. But when we get guests, a lot of times we get really different questions that actually take a little bit more effort to answer. And this is one of them.
Okay.
And you get it.
Yay!
Okay. I'm on a budget, and I hate wasting money.
Me too.
Erin, convince me as to why I should get a Deva cut. Or, more simply, convince me why I should get a cut by a curly hair stylist, and why I should spend twice the money that I normally spend on a haircut. Not only convince me, but convince my husband. That's a good question.
Okay, well, that's maybe two separate questions.
Divorce the husband?
Yeah, kick him to the curb.
Okay, we got that done.
So before I was a curl specialist, my curly haired guests, I would typically see them about, say, once every 6 to 8 weeks. And now I typically see them once every, anywhere from, like, the average I would say would be 12 to 16 weeks. So you need half the amount of hair appointments in a year. The other thing that I would say in reference to your husband is, if you love your hair and then you don't complain about your hair all the time,
yes,
and it's generally cooperative, you're happy with it, you're confident, and you just feel better, that will probably convince your husband.
Hasn't he heard that happy wife, happy life quote?
Exactly.
It's a lie.
Oh my gosh.
Just saying.
Yeah. I have clients whose husbands are like, well, a couple of my clients, they spend a lot of money, because they get color and highlights and curly cuts. And, one of them said to her husband, "Do you want to know how much I'm spending?" He said, "No, I don't care." He's like, "Your hair's never looked better." He didn't even care. So that's pretty awesome.
And I would say that's what, most partners are like. I can definitely see how initially there would be that sticker shock, but you know what, if it's a haircut that you love and you can go further in between,
yes,
I would say in the long run it pays off in so many ways, not just financial ones, obviously, just in confidence and empowerment.
I could say something naughty, but I won't.
Oh,
yeah, that involves Cheryl too. But, I can break it down for them totally. Break it down how much it is, like you said, per month. And then let's talk about what they spend on golf or on boating or on cars, all the hobbies that they tend to have that are quite expensive.
Hey, there's an old saying from my racing days, and it's my biggest fear is that when I die, my wife will sell my race car parts for what I told her they cost.
Exactly.
My wife knows how much they cost.
Yeah,
they're not cheap.
But you're not honest about how many cars you have.
I have none.
I'll find them.
None.
I'll find them.
None. All right. Okay. Let's go into. I've got just. Do you have a couple more minutes? I know we're running about an hour in almost.
Wow.
Do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Let's do.
What time is it there?
We're in the same time zone.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Good. All right. Let's go. I'm going to ask you a long question because I have a feeling that if you if you don't know the first part of it, which you might not because I don't either, the rest of the question I read might be worthless. But so let's start. Okay. Hi, Erin. What do you think of Evaluators? The shop assistant at my salon was recommending it, saying it has built-in bonding agents similar to Olaplex 1 and 2 and uses the latest technology, so much kinder to hair. I have black hair, Indian, and want to add some highlights to it. I usually do it at home with bleach plus 30 volume developer and then add color using yellow color plus 1.5 developer. The heck is she doing at home here? Running a salon? Someone recently, yeah,
I saw that in the curly hair Q&A group.
Yeah.
Even this is.
Someone recently said to use 30 volume developer and the color tube. I'm confused. As far as I know, color can't lift color. So, okay, let's stop right there. All right. Okay, let's ask both of you.
There's a problem.
Well, let's stop. Let's stop right there and I'll ask both of you the same question. Erin, can color lift color? Yes or no? No. Melanie, can color lift color?
No.
Okay. So I have to use bleach as I did before. She was saying since I'm not going much lighter, level 7 or maybe 9, I can get away with color plus 20 volume developer for 4 minutes. Also, some salons start applying highlights from the top of the head, but with curly hair, I have only seen them starting from the bottom and going up. What is the reason for this? Can you enlighten me?
Wait. Go back to go back to the 4-minute thing. What the heck was that?
All right, 4 minute. Okay, let's go back to that. Okay. She was saying, stylist was saying, since I'm not going much lighter, level 7 or maybe level 9, I can get away with color plus 20 volume developer for 4 minutes.
That's hilarious.
Does she mean after she's lightened it or on her natural, what I'm assuming is dark because she's Indian hair? Yes,
that. That's how I'm reading this.
This is a mess. So there's a stylist telling her this information?
It looks like it, yep.
They're crazy. They don't even know what they're talking about.
I wonder if it's the person at whatever supply place like Sally's or whatever that she's purchasing color from.
That could be, because none of it makes sense.
Yeah, and we've heard these stories at places like Sally's and whatever.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like, I just had a formula that came, I told you about that. A new client that came in with color formula from a previous salon and insisted on using the formula, and I never do that. But she was so insistent, so we did. And but looking at it, I kept questioning. I'm like, do you trust these people? Because this seems like a really screwy formula. You know, I knew what she was trying to achieve, and I didn't agree with it, and I voiced my opinion several times, but she insisted on doing that formula, and of course it was screwed up. So I'm like, these people just, didn't know what they were doing, aside from the formula being wrong. Also, the amount of color was outrageous. So anyway, I should have just insisted, but yeah.
I don't know this for a fact here, but I'm going back to the beginning of this question, Erin. I'm just reading this name the way it's typed out. Evaluators sounds like an e-salon version of Olaplex because of the way the name is spelled.
Oh, e-salonplex.
Right, so she's getting it.
Oh, okay.
Getting it mailed to her. I'm betting.
Because I was going to say, I never heard of that.
Sorry, go ahead.
I haven't heard of that. Have you?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that at all.
I hadn't either, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there is nothing that's Olaplex. I don't care how many people try and come out with, equivalent bond builders that are really just oils and silicones and film
apparently L'Oreal was pretty damn close because they got a big old lawsuit.
Yeah, they were really damn close.
So that's when they must
lost that big lawsuit.
Right, that's what told me they were pretty darn close
from the shelves. Yeah,
I'm glad that happened.
No longer make a bond builder is my understanding.
Yeah. I'm glad for that. It's nice to see the little guy win once in a while. Trust me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they should have. I don't know how else to go on this question. Should we just stop?
No, let her answer.
Well,
she was going to.
Yeah.
Oh, you were going to answer. I'm sorry.
We'll divide it up into parts. So the first part is there is no equal to Olaplex.
Okay.
No matter what else you're getting, there's no equal to Olaplex. Yeah. It's not going to do what you want it to do, and it does not give you a license then to push your hair beyond where it needs to be. But that's true with Olaplex too, sort of.
And people, not just people at home, but there's a lot of hairstylists that,
right?
Oh, you want to talk about attacked? I got to tell you this, Erin. You want to talk about attacked? About a year, maybe 2 years ago, I was in some of the big professional groups, the 200,000 ones.
Yeah.
And I commented that some of these stylists, I said, you're using it as a crutch because you're not, you obviously don't have the level of training to be able to do what you're doing. And oh my God, did I get attacked? But it's true. I mean, it's true. Yeah. They're way pushing limits they shouldn't be pushing.
The guideline from Olaplex is if you wouldn't do it without Olaplex, that doesn't mean you get to do it with Olaplex.
Yep.
And I agree with that.
But that's it. I mean, especially with the whole fashion color trend came in, that all of a sudden everybody thought that, I can do anything I want because I've got Olaplex. That's just not the case. Okay, so that's the first part. The second part is, so she's thinking about highlighting her Indian hair. Is that Indian hair coarse, typically? It's very coarse. That's what I thought. Not like Asian hair. Like, it's different than that, isn't it? Or is it similar? Similar? Okay, so she wants to add some highlights to it. Can she do it? Let me ask it this way. Can she do it at home, Erin?
No.
Shouldn't be doing it at home.
It sounds like she's experimented a bit already. So I'm going to presume that there's multiple things going on. Her hair's in some sort of compromised state. It's just not worth the risk. It sounds also like she's been watching YouTube videos because she talks about, painting from the bottom up. And I don't highlight my own hair. I know what I'm doing, and I still don't do it.
Yeah.
Especially because, part of it's I just can't see the back of my head. But, when you're talking about highlights, especially something that's hand-painted, like it sounds like she's interested in when she talks about, painting up from the bottom, which isn't exactly how we do it, but I get where she's going. You can't, I don't know how you would do that on your own head.
I was going to ask you that.
A giant blotchy mess.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Erin, because I noticed in one of your bios that you talked about that's something you really like to do is to paint on highlights and whatever. And that's why I brought this question in, was for that, to see what your thoughts on that are. And I think we answered the last part of it about. Well, I'll just ask you one last part of that question. So how do you highlight curly hair, from the bottom up or the top down?
I pick up a curl group, and then depending on the desired result, I might start at the very top. Like, for instance, the Deva curl technique called Pintura. You do start at the top. It's just your diffusion and level of saturation changes as you move down the hair. If I'm going to do something that's maybe like a balayage technique, I will probably start like the middle of the hair or up closer. But I think she's probably seen some YouTube videos where it looks like they start about like halfway down, but then, you need to blend it upwards. Otherwise, you're just going to have a big line on the head. So where I start depends on the look that I'm trying to achieve.
Yeah.
I don't just paint on the ends and then like smush it on up the hair. Yeah. That's not how that works.
My head went in a different direction, so I don't know which way she's asking, what she's asking. Ooh, my back is so sore.
I have a feeling.
Anyway, I thought she meant because, like, in highlighting where you start on the head, not on the strand of hair. So, okay. How most stylists start on the bottom and work their way up to the top of the head, not where you start on the strand of the hair. So who knows? I'm not sure but to me it sounded like that's what she was asking, because a lot of stylists start their highlighting on the bottom and the back of the head and then work their way up to the top of the head.
Yeah. Erin, Pintura and balayage, same thing?
No, not necessarily.
What's the difference?
Knowing Pintura actually probably makes my balayage better. So Pintura is based on individual curls, and you do absolutely place your brush at closer to the root. It's about, the tension on the curl, how much product you have on your brush, and just one kind of smooth, steady stroke down the hair. And then just to saturate, so you're painting on the top of the hair from the top of, your curl group, but then you're saturating the ends. The benefit of that is you get that diffused start right from the root. But it's a diffuse start, so you don't have a line as the hair grows out. Traditional highlights, though, have a tendency to get lost in curly hair. So with that more saturated end, you can see the curl from start to finish. Balayage isn't necessarily placed specifically on where the curls are. It has a tendency to be more on hair fall. And then you can do bolder highlights with a technique like balayage. With pintura, you're not necessarily getting, like the more like ombre style effects where the ends are really saturated. With pintura, it is more individual curls. So balayage, if you want more of that, shadow rooted idea or something that is significantly lighter towards the ends, but all over, then that would be more of a technique that you would use. But when you look at them, they do look similar, but they're not exactly the same.
Okay. You got anything else, Melanie, or should we wrap it up?
Well, let's see. No, I mean, I could talk about that hair color, but
Oh, we can talk about that next week.
yeah,
Melanie hurt her back, so she's getting sore sitting.
yeah, it hurts me to
And
sit.
we're over an hour, so probably that's enough. I swear to God, I try to get these interviews done in an hour. I do. I swear. It just never happens. But wonderful. Well, thank you again very much, Erin. We appreciate you coming on. If someone would like to book an appointment with you or someone at your salon, how would they do that?
They can visit our website at curvehairstudio.com or message us through our Instagram, which is at Curve Hair Studio, or our Facebook, which is also at Curve Hair Studio.
Okay, great.
Yay.
I'll make sure, and I'll put that information in the title areas of the videos and of the podcast wherever you consume this show. It'll all be in there, and we will also keep records of that here. So if anybody messages us through any of the groups or pages, we will give you that information. So
Yeah, I think I tried to connect one of my clients with you, but she's too far. She can't find anybody close to her.
that's why I asked.
Yeah.
Where
about
is
that.
she?
I forget where she is in Canada, but it was right after the class. She had asked me because I said there was 2 people from Canada that had come,
Yeah.
but neither one of you was close to her.
Just so you guys know, who may be listening for the first time, our salon is in Naples, Florida, which is it's a very popular wintering city, and we share a lot of clients with a lot of people, a lot of other stylists and salons from up north. We share back and forth because they'll spend 3 or 4 months or 5 months or too many months down here, and then go back. So that's why we do that. It's nice to be able to have people come through our training classes, and then we know who we can refer them to.
Yeah, it's great. I want to say she's closer to Toronto, but I don't know for sure.
She's just
I don't
outside of it, not long. Within an hour, right? Aren't you within an hour?
No, not
Toronto?
not Erin, my client.
Oh.
Are you
Okay.
close
Yeah.
to Toronto?
We're about an hour away.
An
No,
hour.
then that must not be where she is.
Everybody, the distance that people are willing to drive, though, is different from person to person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is for us. We do it all the time. Well, thank you again. So did you enjoy it? Would you come on again if we asked you?
Absolutely.
Oh, good, wonderful. That's what I like to
Fun
hear.
stuff.
So yeah, it's because it's fun stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, wonderful. Well, thanks again, and again, like I said, I will make sure and forward your information and have it on all of our social sites and whatever. And we'll be talking to you soon in a couple of
Yeah.
months, and some of your other stylists as well in the fall.
It's great to see you, and I'm so glad that things are going well and you're incorporating everything you've learned.
Yes, very very much so. Wonderful. Thank you
you so
very much, Erin. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And there we are. Are we off, Lionel? Are we disconnected? I can't hear him.
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. Tell me when we're disconnected so I can wrap this show up.
Say again?
I said, tell me when we're disconnected so I can wrap the show up.
Disconnected from what?
From our call.
Oh, okay.
From our guests, so I can wrap